past the silver screen. Steven, JT, Bruce, let's look past them together.
What is going on, everybody? This is JT, and I just got home from seeing Disclosure Day, the latest film from Steven Spielberg, and I'm here to give you my spoiler-free thoughts and opinions on the film. So let's go ahead and talk about the film. Before I get started, my theater was awesome enough to get me this lovely poster right here for the film. I will absolutely be hanging that up. It looks awesome. I cannot wait. But the movie itself. So, I also didn't get any merch. They didn't have any popcorn buckets. They didn't have any interesting cups or anything like that. So the poster was all I got, and I'm fine with that. So the movie, let's start with the negatives and work our way into the positives. First and foremost, this movie will not be for everyone. I think some people will really like it and some people will not like it at all. And you might have some middle ground there, but it's very decisive in the sense that I've heard people hate it and I've heard people love it. So we'll get to that in just a bit. So the film, for most of the part, is a little slow. You have a lot of like exposition leading up to something that happens at the end of the movie, and you're just kind of on this chase along the way. There's some cars chase scenes, there's some action sequences, and for the most part, it's just kind of there. And while I was in the theater, I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the meat and potatoes of this movie on why it got me excited, because I only watched one trailer. I watched the first initial trailer that dropped, and from then on, I was excited. I didn't see any other things, any other leaks or clips or anything. I just saw that one trailer, and I was hooked, and that's all I needed. So watching the movie, getting into the very beginning, the first two chapters, I should say, I was kind of like, okay, where are we getting with this? What's going on? But then it shifts just tonally, and the movie just flips on its head at a certain moment, and from then on, I was locked in. I was just watching it without blinking, like, didn't even move. Like, I was just completely locked in. And it really takes a toll on you because you're just in awe. Like, Steven Spielberg does his best. I mean, his best cinematography, his best work is just in that final half of the movie. So two different halves of this film, and while that is a pacing issue, it kind of is okay in my opinion, because we need that lead up to what we get at the end. And like I said, it's not going to be for everybody. I talked to someone earlier after seeing the film, and they were like, yeah, that was really boring and I did not like it. To me, while it was a little slow, I'm not going to say boring in my opinion, but I'm going to say slow, you do get a slower lead up to our finale. And sometimes a lot of people say, did it stick the final? Did this TV show or whatever stick the finale? Well, this movie stuck this final chapter. That last hour, maybe 45 minutes, was so good. I have not seen anything like that in theaters this year. It really had a toll on me, the entire last half of it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's okay. I think it's fine in the sense of what we're watching, because this movie is all about the world kind of understanding and now knowing about extraterrestrial life out there, and how we're just either going to believe it or not believe it. And I do believe that some people are going to sit here and say, I told you so, I told you so. And other people are going to say, well, I'm siding with this side rather than this side. Two other points that I want to make before I, let Steven give his opinion on the film. Number one, John Williams, welcome back. You have absolutely done another banger on your discography, or whatever you want to call it, because the soundtrack to this was so good, especially, like I said, in that final half of the movie. And then finally, Emily Blunt, just wow. Just give her every flower that you can, because she absolutely deserves it in this role, and the character that she plays and everything that she had to go through for this character. I can see how it can be very exhausting and very just mind-numbing, but she pulls it off, and I am just in awe of her performance in this movie. So my final rating out of 5, what do I think of Disclosure Day? Well, like I mentioned, it was a slow start. It is a slow build. It's a slow burn. The pacing is a little, off at some points. The action is there. It's great. The lead up and how we are sent off at the end of the movie was phenomenal, and I absolutely loved it. I did see it in IMAX, and I wasn't really, all that, wowed by the IMAX portion of it. You could probably definitely see this in a regular formatted theater. IMAX was fine. I enjoyed it, of course, but again, I wasn't wowed. So out of 5, on my first watch, because I do want to rewatch this again, I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's great. The ending is phenomenal, and I think you should go see it in theaters as well. But, Steven, what did you think of Disclosure Day?
How's it going, everybody? This is Steven with Past the Silver Screen, and we gotta talk Disclosure Day. So, before we get into the review of this movie, I will just let you guys know, first and foremost, this is gonna be completely spoiler-free. I believe you should watch this in the theaters as soon as you have the chance to, because it is absolutely fantastic. It is just such a superb movie, and I could not stop thinking about it. All from last night when I saw it until today, it has just been engraved in my mind. And when it comes down to leaving things engraved in your mind and just keeping that in your memory for a long time, I think that's a really great trait that Steven Spielberg has. When it comes down to a lot of the movies that he has been a part of and he's created, written, produced, directed, you name it, I mean, his hands are in iconic filmography and a part of cinema history forever. And if you're not aware of Steven Spielberg and his work, or if you're maybe just living underneath a rock, I will just go through and give you guys just a quick rundown of some of his best movies or some of my personal favorites that he's done. We have Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, E.T., Jaws, Minority Report, Artificial Intelligence, Catch Me If You Can, and my personal favorite, Ready Player One. And Disclosure Day adds on top of that list because this is just another one of those movies that makes you think. It also just has the last 45 minutes has some of the best storytelling and some of the best just reveal moments that I could think of in a movie that I've seen in a long time. And it's something I can't get out of my brain. So Steven Spielberg, hats off to you, my friend, because this is another movie that I'm going to be thinking about and rewatching as much as I can because I loved every single part of this movie. Now, with a movie like this, you have to have a cast that works along with it, and this cast was just picked out perfectly. You have Emily Blunt, Eve Hewson, Coleman Domingo, Noah Firth, Wyatt Russell, and you have Josh O'Connor. All of these people work incredibly well together, and their chemistry is just off the charts. But the standout performance, it shouldn't be a surprise, it is Emily Blunt. She delivers one of the greatest performances of 2026. It's probably cracking my top 5 because so far I have Indy Navarrete in Obsession, Emily Blunt in Disclosure Day, Ryan Gosling in Project Hail Mary, and Jafar Jackson in Michael. Those 4 roles and those 4 performances really just stick with me for everything I've seen this year. Those 4 are the ones that I'm looking back on being like, that is just incredible work. So Emily Blunt is a standout character, despite everybody else in the cast being great as well. One of my favorites was Wyatt Russell's character. He is more of the comedic relief, and he is also kind of everybody else. If you were to plug yourself into that movie, you'd probably be Wyatt Russell's character. Because it's almost like what is going on, why is this happening? Like, it's just those funny, quips that he has, and I think it's really good, and I think he does a really great job. Alrighty, so into the official review of the movie. A few things I do just want to go and mention here when it comes down to negatives versus positives is I don't really have a bunch of negatives. The positives outweigh it so much where I can almost forget about them. But if I had to go through and just give you some negatives, it would be the beginning, the pacing. It takes a little bit of time to really mesh this story and get you right into the heat of things, especially with how the second act picks up leading into the amazing third act. It almost feels like you're pushing a ball up a hill, and right as you're at the top, as it's falling, that's where the movie just gets to its absolute best. And I don't want to say that the setup is necessarily not fun or it's not important. It is, but it just takes some time to find its footing to get there. The only other gripe that I really have in the movie is maybe the CGI. I thought that could have been touched up a little bit when it comes down to some of the animals that you see. Some were good, some looked really good, but then there were some moments with some of the animals where I was like, that does not look good at all. But it also just didn't take me out of it because they're only in there as a part or a reasoning of the story, which I won't get into, but you'll know when you see the movie. And from going to any negatives, obviously there's going to be positives, and this movie had a bunch of positives. As I've mentioned, you have Steven Spielberg at his best. You also have a great cast. But on top of that, I thought the cinematography was really well done. And as someone who comes from an artistic background, the way that Steven Spielberg can have some of these shots laid out and almost painted were really well done. I love the work of reflection with some of the moments. There was some driving scenes where you had reflection in the windows, and it was heavy on the reflection because it's never usually like that. Some window scenes, I just love that kind of aspect in that work. It just does a good job at telling another story in the reflection. So that was really cool. On top of that, I will say for me, it was the dialogue. It didn't feel forced. It never felt like they were just kind of throwing stuff in there to throw it in there. It felt really just tame. It felt itself, and they let moments breathe. You know, they never have to go through and fill unnecessary silence with dialogue. It does a great job at just letting moments be. But overall, if you're a fan of extraterrestrial movies, I think this is something you need to give a chance. Because for me, I saw this with one of my great friends, someone who I consider my family. Shout out to my friend Damien. We have been huge fans of like UFOs, extraterrestrial life for as long as we have known each other. And this movie had us just being like, oh my God, like some of the visuals for some of the aliens and the spacecraft were just, it was incredible. I would love to just chip into the mind and the creative team because it's, every single spaceship that you saw was so different and unique. It was never the same cliche flying saucer. It was never the same cliche alien. And it was so different that it made it more believable. And I thought that was just really fantastic. And even after the movie, we went back to his place and we were standing outside in the lawn and we were just looking at the nighttime sky. Just maybe our imagination was playing with us because we just saw a movie about UFOs. But there were like, you know, shooting stars or whatever that we just were probably just overreacting and freaking out to. But there are also just some weird anomalies that you see at night. So at any time, I mean, if you have a clear nighttime sky, just sit out there for like 15, 20 minutes and just look around and you're bound to see something. And I think that's one of the great things that this movie does is it makes you want to go do that. It makes you want to go outside and look at the nighttime sky and really just do your own, you know, like research, I guess, or do your own believing in what is real to you. And I think it does a good job at kind of battling, you know, religion in a sense. There is a moment with Eve Houston's character where she was a part of this church, the sisterhood, and they talk about like, you know, if this stuff is real, how does it battle against your religion? Does that change the way that you believe in God? And I don't want to get into all that nitty gritty, but it does a good job at kind of testing, you know, like, yeah, if these were real, like, what is something that you could believe in at that point? Is something that would carry with you as a strength. So overall, I thought this movie had a lot of really great moments and a lot of good things that you can think about and take from it. I would give this movie a 4 out of 5. I think after another rewatch, it'll probably go through and hit a 4.5 out of 5. Who knows? This could be a 5 out of 5 after a few rewatches for me. That's just how much I love Steven Spielberg and his work. So if you're thinking about watching the movie, please go see it. If you have seen it already, let us know in the comments down below what you think. But I appreciate your time with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you for joining us past the silver screen.
Let's look past them together.